today, it's early in the AM, and of course you guys know I got some energy. Now I'm going to get right on to it. I have client stories connected with fat loss. So the last couple of weeks has been very emotional. I've gotten a lot of people with a lot of health issues, and they're like, Steph, you know, now people aren't so much talking about the fat loss, but they're like, I just want to have the energy that you have. So let's get right on to the fat loss and the energy, the lack of it, how to get it, and yeah, let's dive right on to it. Okay. I like to talk about client stories now in conjunction with the subjects that keep rolling around the internet. So everyone that I speak to wants to lose body fat. That's their goal. It doesn't matter if they've had a colon removed, if they have extreme bouts of depression. They'll be so caught up in the fat loss, it'll behoove you. But here's the thing. What is the deal with fat loss? I mean, what is that? How do you burn fat anyway? Well, we know that the body breaks down units of fat into ketone bodies, which are converted in the liver and go into the Krebs cycle and give you energy. But how is it actually burned off? I mean, it's burned off through CO2, your breath, urine, stool. That's where it actually comes out of you. But the reality is, your body can't burn fat if there's a spoke, right? If there's a big wooden stick in the wheel and the clog of the spokes of the bike, whatever. So what I'm trying to say is that the gut really is central to the biggest problem of fat loss. I mean, I go through all these systems and people are like, oh my God, you say the same thing every day, and I still will. So if you want to listen to someone else who talks about eat these macros and you'll lose weight, you won't lose weight. So basically, how you lose weight is to get your glucose in control. Get your insulin on point. Go for the first time and check your blood sugars, because you'll be probably worrisome to find out that they're not doing too well. A lot of you guys have an A1C that's too high. A lot of you guys have your fasted blood glucose that's too high. Or your blood glucose in the afternoon post meals is not dropping back down to that morning fasted number. And if your glucose is spiking 1.5 to 2 hours after you've eaten something, then you might have a histamine issue. You might have a blood sugar dysregulation from your pancreas, your gut dysbiosis, your stress of the day. There's a multitude of reasons, and that's the reason why I go into these subjects over and over and over and over and over and over again. So where do you start, right? I mean, we know that a lot of you guys who have adrenal insufficiency or CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, are people who've got low cortisol. And so people don't understand, like, if you want to lose weight on keto, you have to break the fast. Contrary to what the Dr. Mercola or these other doctors are saying about fasting, if you have metabolic damage, you can't fast because you already have adrenal insufficiency, or you might already have pancreatic issues, or you might have an A1C that's too high, you might have a blood glucose that's too high, or you have a night shift job, or you can't get your stress in order, or you have a gut dysbiosis. The body is not going to let go of the weight. I'm always saying, like, this is fat on the body, right? That's fat. And the body doesn't want to let it go. And some of the things you guys don't realize is that you've developed insufficient fat cells. Fat comes in and it doesn't come out. Body's not going to let go of its fat because this is its protection. I don't mean those big swollen bellies that you see men have. That's fluid in the colon that hardens and calcifies. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about visceral fat that is absorbing into your bloodstream and giving you a heart attack and aneurysms or whatever. I'm talking about a lot of you guys that have that subcutaneous fat. You know, the fat that's not dangerous. How you guys can go to the gym and go to the gym and go to the gym and go to the gym, and you're still not dropping body fat. So a lot of women will go down in their calories to avoid a bigger body mass. while doing that, you just break your metabolism even more. So when people go on keto, I'm like, and they gain weight, I'm like, it's kind of good. Because you have to up your amount of nutrients. And the body's like, oh my God, food's finally coming in here, and it just stores. It just wants to store. But another reason why you're storing is because your insulin is high, because your pancreas is insufficient. It's just vomiting out insulin, which is the insulin resistance. So, more food, more nutrient-dense food, and high insulin, and a stress response on keto because your body doesn't want to use ketones, it just wants to use glucose, then the glucose spikes and everything stores. So when people go and do ketogenic protocol and they're like looking at before and after pictures online, which I've spoken about ad nauseum, it's subjective, and a lot of people just lose water and muscle. Now some people do lose fat, but they gain it back because it's a diet trend. And they don't do whatever it takes. I mean, I've got people so snarky and smart ass who are like, I lost this much weight, I ate nuts and I drank coffee and I ate cheese. I don't even listen anymore because I get these clients that are crying because they have so much metabolic damage. No joke. That you don't quantify your health or your fat loss on a scale, guys. It's way deeper than that. So, what's blocking you from losing the body fat is, number one, you have insufficient fat cells. You have trained those fat cells through eating a lot of carbs and skipping meals. You've trained them to store and not release. It's the body's protection. So, fat cells divide and they gorge. And now you're a perfect fat storing machine. But another thing that makes you guys store fat is that stress, right? We take in so many toxins, and it has to be filtered through the liver, and it has to go through the intestine. Inflammation. And so many of you guys have loose stool, and you can't poop. Why would the body get you to be like, have the business and all this junk? Yes, I think it's ridiculous to focus on fat loss if you have so much metabolic damage. In this past week, I've gotten 2 people who are so, male, female, so tired that they can't even exercise for 2 minutes. And I'm like, you have to get the blood moving. And even if you have to take a slow and steady walk, we have to retrain the body to deal with stress in a different way. That is the only way you guys are going to lose fat. And I've got to turn off social media because it's a stress response. So many of you guys don't deal with stress very well. You think you do, but you don't. And that whole clog in the machine, right? That jams everything up. Blood glucose spikes. You're eating 200 grams of fat. You're not sleeping well. You still have a gut dysbiosis. You're having an allergenic effect on half the foods that you're eating. You don't even realize because you don't test it. And the weight will not come off. It will not. And if you do lose weight, it's because you've gone down to 1,000 calories. People are like, should I go on a fat fast? I'm like, yeah, go ahead and make yourself develop even more of low cortisol and autoimmune disorders from starving yourself. We got one woman who did a fat fast and her menstrual cycle stopped and it never came back. This is a woman in her 40s. Because when you're in your 40s, you don't mess around with the old menstrual cycle because that is everything. It is everything to being young. Everything. It is everything to not being estrogen dominant, which is to keep a balanced reproductive system or your menstrual cycle. Had another woman who had hot flashes so bad, also early 40s, hot flashes. I was like, your adrenals are jacked, yo. When your menstrual cycle stops, your adrenals take over and they balance your reproductive hormones. But if you are skipping meals, remember you're not in ketosis, so if you fast, where's your body going to get the energy from? By fasting. You think it's going to access those inefficient fat cells? No. Hail to the no. Your body is going to access muscle. How did you get a glucose of 95 if you're not eating carbs? Muscle. Learn the science, guys. It's not rocket science. It's pretty laid out, black and white clear. A high glucose in the morning, a high fasted glucose is showing me that you are adrenaline junkies. You're waking up intermittently in the middle of the night and you have all this cortisol and your blood sugar is spiking like this throughout the night. Why? Because your adrenals are overworking. Sometimes the adrenals will be lazy all day long, cortisol will be low, and all of a sudden it finally peaks at night, right? Because adrenaline has an 8-hour half-life. Peaks at night. Sleep remains bad. You wake up super late and you're stretching the sleep, right? And you're waking up past the sun rising. You're not connected to the circadian rhythm, and you skip breakfast. So what happens when you skip breakfast? Well, the midbrain, right? The hypothalamus pituitary, the hippocampus, there's nothing in the bloodstream because you've been fasting all night long. So you're going to get up and start burning fat? You have low cortisol? Come on, guys. Your body is going to have to vomit out adrenaline because you're like, I just got to get to work. So you go to work, and that vomiting out more adrenaline is not enough. So you start going for the coffee, and then you're forced to vomit out more adrenaline. And then you develop more and more low cortisol. And then arises the chronic fatigue syndrome. You can't do keto halfway. To cross that bridge over to ketosis land, you have to do whatever it takes. And whatever it takes is getting your macros on point. Don't be shy with the fat. Because to lose fat, you have to eat fat, but you don't lose fat in the beginning. Eating fat will help you heal the metabolic damage. If you don't have a low stomach acid and a gallbladder issue, if you can digest your fats fine and you don't have a histamine response off of red meats or leftover meats, if you have no problem digesting your fatty protein, your saturated fats, then in time you drop body fat. But you don't drop it in the beginning. You have to heal the body. You have to get to bed by 10. So yes, I'm saying the same damn things because y'all ain't listening. Some of you guys are. And the clients, I have a woman, metabolic damage. She listened to what I said for months. I repeat the same thing and it was drilling in her subconscious. She came to me, adapted. But she said, I've gained this much weight. I said, I don't care. You're adapted now. I was like, do you crash? No. Do you have a menstrual cycle? Yes. Can you sleep? Rock star. Is your mood good? Amazeballs. And I don't mean sweaty ones. And I said, hold that. Journal and hold that keto adaptation. And when your body is finally rebalanced and it trusts that you won't grind it anymore, you will then and only then drop fat. You have to increase your workouts, but you can't do it until you fix the broken adrenals. You cannot, or the thyroid. You cannot, which is why I suggest time under tension. Can't go do HIIT training if you've got issues. Cannot. You can only do these things once the issues are healed. So yes, it's a work in progress. And keto is only designed for the people who are going to do whatever it takes. Not these half-baked people who look at before and after and like, oh, before, after, I'm going to lose weight. No, it's not going to happen. Okay, guys, it's a lovely day, and I've got a ton of energy, and I'm so excited, and I've worked real hard, and I've also gone through my metabolic damage, and luckily I didn't damage myself too hard, because I never was a big candy eater, carb eater, soda drinker, knock on wood, and you have to find the balance. Sleep is the main reason, or the main way that you guys fix the body. Period. No supplement. I keep getting people who've got anxiety and depression. What can I take, Stephanie? Should I take ashwagandha? Should I take this? Should I take that? Should I take high doses of vitamin C? Lower the cortisol? I'm like, freaking meditate. Get some orange light bulbs at night. Listen to an audiobook. Meditate. Turn off technology. Sleep in your damn backyard. I don't care. But I can't just